While making games in your spare time used to require a steep learning curve, there are enough free, albeit rudimentary tools nowadays for anybody, even me, to be able to make a game, and that is horrifying. In this video, I'll be giving a few tips and a quick overview on the different parts of making a game in a free, mostly, easy-to-use mostly, game engine called GDevelop, so I could share the power to curse the world with more amateur games to everybody. First, you'll want to draw up different game concepts. They don't have to be good, which is great because in my case, they won't be good. Some ways to create interesting game ideas would be to combine different genres, find an interesting theme, build around an interesting mechanic, or have no plan at all. That last one sometimes gets you good ideas, but it's mostly useful for practice, or when you have to make an instructional video for your video class. Then you would probably want to create art for your game. You could go the normal route and spend time making it look nice, searching up color palettes to use and giving your game a unique aesthetic that makes it stand out against the crowd, or you could jump into Sprite or MS Paint and create a square in 5 seconds. Either way, you might want to start off with a square just to have something down to experiment with before you commit the time to make it look good. Personally, I decided to go the route of stealing a design from a friend, which is also very useful. When adding music, you could always make your own, but that probably wouldn't end well, so you might just want to resort to royalty-free music like Kevin MacLeod. The only downside of which is if you don't make good choices, you might end up sounding like a 2009 YouTube tutorial. For sound effects, you can either make homemade sound effects with a microphone, find one on YouTube, or use JSFXR, a free online tool for making retro-sounding effects. Most of the actual game development is trial and error, so it's not something that can really be explained easily in a tutorial in like a broad sense, but the majority of the GDevelop layout is labeled clearly, so all it takes to understand is an hour or two of experimentation or a tutorial explaining the entire layout in detail. But if you're just starting out, you probably don't need to know what all the interface does in detail. Once you've familiarized yourself with how GDevelop works, create a new object and add an animation, which is what decides what your little object or character currently looks like. You can have it switch animations later or throughout the game using the Events tab for different scenarios, like making your character look left or right when moving left or right. Select your completely original design that isn't from Air Jumper by Fuzz the Hamster on Sploder.com. Then go to Behaviors, which is a bunch of presets that basically decide how the player will be able to interact with the character, and click the Platform Character Behavior. This is a preset for a character that you can use for platformer games like Mario or Air Jumper. Just apply the platformer collision to the objects you want your little dude to jump on and you're as good as gold. Next, create your obstacles. This will differ from game to game, but I, the game design genius that I am, made the obstacle a red triangle that flies in from the left of the screen that the player has to dodge. I used the Events tab, which uses basic logic like spawn a spike every 5 seconds. If the spike was just spawned, move until past this point, then delete. Not exactly like that, but that's the gist. If you don't know what something means in the Events tab, there are usually tutorial links on the side to give you a rundown of how it works on YouTube. After that, polish up your magnum opus, remove glitches, add lighting, etc. Really make sure that's as perfect as possible so you can charge $60 for it on Steam. Once you're sure that your game is as perfect as it's gonna get, select the file drop-down menu at the top left of the GDevelop screen and select Export. Then just follow the steps on the screen. When it's finished exporting, share it with the rest of the world. I'm sure they'll be just as ecstatic as you are. I hope that with this newfound knowledge, you'll be able to use these powers to wreak havoc upon unsuspecting victims, thinking that they are going to be playing a fun, simple browser game, but alas, they're actually going to be playing jump on 4 platforms, dodging red triangles, or Pong if you decide to do that. Seriously though, I've put in over dozens of hours on separate games, but the only one I released was a Pong clone I made in a half hour in like a Game Maker Studio. And with this knowledge, you too may be able to make the next break in Pong clone technology like I once did.